online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Amazing Race, Season 28, Episode 4, Get It Trending. I'm Jessica Carrol, and we have a brand new co-host with us today, the Lilikable.
That's the mouse, guys. It's Marie Mazzocchi and the mouse. James is not here with us today, so we're going to do our best to carry on without him.
Yes. So, what overall thoughts? What did you think of this episode?
I liked it. I thought it was difficult. Like, it's not one of the episodes where I was like, this wasn't even hard, you know?
Yeah.
So it was entertaining, and there was a lot of challenges, so it's okay with me. I'm all right with this episode.
I just was over all the kindness.
I know.
I felt like literally like, Marie, you don't go to work tomorrow. I'll just go to work for you.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, come on. Like, this is Amazing Race.
I know. And you know what? It's still early, so I guess it's kind of okay. But, like, I would just never be like that. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't like it.
I did not like it. And I thought, even though, they were helping some teams out, it ended up going against the models towards the very end.
I know.
So we'll talk about all that later. But I was just... It was boring. It was unfair. I mean, The Amazing Race is all about backstabbing and taking
Right,
people's
like, where is
taxis. And it was just... I was missing that. Everyone was just helping everyone. But, yeah, so they went from... right off the bat, we kind of hear of a little love interest going on.
That's right. What is it? They came up with a hashtag for it.
Bloaty.
Bloaty.
Hashtag Bloaty.
Yeah, Blair and Brody.
Oh my gosh.
That's cute. I'm sure we'll see more of that.
Once again, kindness and now romance.
Yeah.
Like things that
Dating
you...
other teams? What are you doing? Unless it's a strategy.
Yeah, but I don't think it is.
I mean, if she's smart, she would use that to her advantage.
Yeah, it would work for her advantage.
Right.
Them, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know, but
yeah, so it was just two contestants. They were dating, flirting, and then there was an equalizer here because they were all in Colombia about to head to Switzerland, and they all were at the airport ready to get on the same flight.
Yeah.
And then that's when we see Brody say that he was able to talk to Blair, even though they looked like they were completely flirting.
They went to go get a drink together at the airport.
Like, what? Oh my God.
But I think all the other teams are kind of making it a bigger deal than it is, just because, first of all, you're trapped with these people and, you're going crazy and nothing's going on, and, you like to look for stuff like that and make it a bigger deal than it is. I know, we gave other teams a hard time on our season about the dumbest little things, too. So I think this is fun for them to just, make it this big, uncomfortable thing that it probably isn't yet.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure they're making a bigger deal, with the hashtag and everything. That's so social media,
right.
Influencers, right? Let's make a hashtag out of this.
Of course.
So, yeah, hashtag Bloaty.
Come here.
And then it was so funny when they were like, what are your thoughts on Switzerland? I loved people's reactions. Tyler was like, hopefully there's snow. And then the clever girls were all...
Were they the
chocolate?
Chocolate, right. They're like, is there chocolate there? I think there... And everyone was, second guessing what they thought they definitely knew about Switzerland.
Yeah.
Or not. I don't know.
I would have definitely thought of Swiss chocolate right off the bat.
Yeah, I would have no idea.
Oh my gosh. And then I loved how, I think it was later on, the models were like, is it a country?
Yeah. What country is Switzerland
in?
Those poor models, though. Everything they say, they catch it and then they play it. And I'm sure everyone else says dumb things, too.
Oh.
But, that's their thing.
Of
so
course.
They have
They're
to
going to... They're just ice skating over here.
Come here, Teeny. Oh, my God.
Of course. Anything that the models say that is a little blonde, let's say, that is going to play
that's,
it
of course, getting
for
on
sure,
the air. Of
for
course.
Sure. So, all right. So they go...
same flight, equalizer. They all get there at the same time.
Geneva, Switzerland. And while they're in Switzerland... Okay, so a while back, I believe it was... I looked it up. I think it was season 14. I remember they had an episode in Switzerland where they had to carry these huge cheese wheels. Do you remember that?
I remember that. That might have been before I started watching.
Oh, maybe before. I just remember that one episode, and I was expecting something crazy like these cheese wheels here in Switzerland in the cold. But it was not that much. So once they were in Geneva, they had to find a 460-foot water jet to find their next clue that would then direct them to a chocolate shop. There's our Swiss chocolate.
Right.
And there they would get their departure time for the morning.
Which this was kind of like a double equalizer. Like, you're already all on the same flight, and then you get to this place and you're grabbing, you know, of course they're closed.
Yeah.
But I do understand why they did do this. You know, you think you're racing and you're going somewhere, and then you get somewhere in the middle of the night and they're just like, okay, now you have to wait. And that kind of just messes with you. So they do it because you can't really just like go to sleep, and you're kind of like, oh my God, now we're all in this order and we have to wait here this many hours. So like anything production can do to just kind of like mess you up, I think they do it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that got me was when they got to go inside somewhere, and there was all these like sleeping bags lined up for them. And I was like, hey, like on our season when we had to sleep outside, like we had to sleep outside. And if you didn't have a sleeping bag, yeah, you just like sat there in the cold through the night.
Did you bring a sleeping bag?
No one on our season brought anything like that except for, who was it? The comedian guys. I shouldn't forget their name. They both had a blow-up mattress.
Blow-up mattress?
Yeah, they ended up going home the next leg anyway. But they had a blow-up mattress, and they blew up the mattress, and they laid there, and they slept all night. But for the rest of us, we were outside, and it was cold, and like, you just sit there and wait. And that's what gets you mentally screwed up. But they were like, okay, you have to wait, but here, go inside. We got you these beds. Good night. Like, no, I don't like that.
See, that's my main thing is like, I don't understand how they literally carry everything on their shoulders. I mean, like, what did you bring? What kind of things did you bring?
I mean, for me, I didn't bring too much. I brought like 2 pairs of Lulus and then like a bunch of different tank tops and sports bras and whatnot. But I didn't have anything else. Like, I didn't bring any blankets, or some teams had calculators and clickers, and you know, a lot of girls bring like they said blow dryers and curling irons and makeup. So I mean, that stuff adds up. So for me, my bag was pretty light, but everybody else, like, their bags are bursting at the seam, and I'm like, what do you have in there?
Yeah, see, that would be hard for me because I overpack everything all the time, so I would have a hard time. But what do you do? So when you do have extra hours like that where you literally just have to wait around, what kind of things do you guys do?
You kind of just like start to pick at other teams, and like that's when
come up with fake romances, like
well, you know, you don't get to see them that much while you're physically racing. So this time is also there for you to either make relationships with other teams, or you know, maybe get under other teams' skin. And if you're at an overnight like this, and you know, whether it's 2 hours or 6 hours, you come out of that with maybe new alliances, new friends, people you don't like. You get dirt on other teams. So-and-so said this about you. You know, it's kind of a time for you to do a little bit of scheming if you want to mess things up. So I think that's a big part of why they have that. But as we saw, they basically took it to sleep, and I think there was some spooning action going on with Bloaty, right?
Yeah, Bloaty. I was like, once again, see that dirt that you're talking about, like finding out who says who and who's backstabbing who and who alliances. It's like on this season, it's like, let's just all hold together and sing a song together. Like we're all best friends. We're not, you know, fighting for $1 million.
Yeah, boring.
Hate
it.
Anyways, let's see. We'll see what this Bloaty thing. They might just be playing it out because there's nothing else to talk about. But. Anyway, so then they all take off the next morning and they get to the Detour, and it's workbench or bench work. So workbench is the teams must create their own Swiss Army knife and assemble 27 pieces. There is an instruction booklet, but it's still very intricate and precise.
Yeah, this sounded terrible.
Oh, I would not be good at that. And then bench work was teams must measure one of the longest park benches in Switzerland by the number of newspapers it takes to fill it. This required the teams to scoot themselves down the bench holding a paper and counting. And the real answer was 190. They had to get a range, so it was actually 190, but they could go up to 197.
Right.
So what would you have done?
I immediately would not build anything tiny and little like that. I would be, we're out of here, we're doing the bench thing. But when I first saw the bench side of the Detour, I was like, okay, this is made up of pieces of like a bunch of benches. So immediately I'm like, okay, measure how many newspapers are on the first one, then count how many and do the math. But when the teams messed up, they had to go back and do the whole thing over again. And I think I kind of got the idea that like you weren't allowed to do that. You had to physically move all the way down the bench, because I was just like yelling at my TV, like, why is no one doing the math?
Right.
So I guess that wasn't allowed. But I definitely would have done that one. It seemed like you could just do it over and over a million times and hopefully get close, and there was a range. Whereas if you messed up the knife, like, no, there's no, okay, you made the knife close enough, here you go.
Right. Yeah, I would have definitely done the bench work for sure. It actually it was hilarious to watch them like scoot down. But so Brody and Kurt, they did bench work. Matt and Dana, Ashley and Bernie, the Clever Girls, and the models. But the funny thing is actually the models, they wanted to do the knife one.
Right, and they couldn't find it.
They couldn't find it.
Thank God, though. They would have never been able to build that knife.
Well, they said that they have a lot of Swiss Army knives, and
I don't know. It's still different. Like,
yeah, just
like,
because you own one doesn't mean you can make it.
Right. Like, I think it was a little bit more difficult than everyone thought. And, like, not knocking them, but, like, good thing they didn't try. I wouldn't have been able to do it. You wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, you notice the teams that were able to do it, there was, like, a male member of the team that was familiar with it, and he basically did it.
Yeah.
So unless you're a boy, don't do this side of the Detour.
Yeah, I would have definitely passed. I mean, those pieces were so small. God, if anyone had long nails, they would not be able to do
totally
that.
Done. Yeah, no, bad idea. I'm just looking in the live chat real quick. I have it up. They're asking if I'm in it. I can't type in it, guys, but I can see what you're saying to us. It looks like maybe it's a little frozen right now, but I am checking in and I can see your comments. So shout out to everybody in the live chat.
Yeah, and let us know in the live chat what you guys would have picked. What Detour? Workbench or bench work? I like the play on words there. Okay, so then Brody and Kurt, boom, they got there. They got it on the first try. They guessed exactly 190. That was crazy. Then this is where I was yelling at my screen because I was like, oh my God. Bernie and Kurt yelled the answer to not just one team, two teams.
What are you doing? Like, why?
I literally was like, wait, what? Did I just see this?
Like, maybe pick a team that, like, you definitely like and want to work with, and you don't just tell everyone and leave. You don't know what's going to happen.
No, he's like, well, I like all the teams in the front, so I'm going to keep them in the front. Here, answers for all.
Yeah, which, I mean, it didn't help too much because they still had to go through and do it, which is kind of different than in previous seasons. I mean, I think there are types of detours where if you someone tells you the answer and you go tell the answer, you're good. But maybe they knew that at least they would take the time to have to go through it again.
Right.
So they wouldn't be too close behind them. But still, like, dumb move.
Yeah, bad move. So he ended up telling Matt and Dana and then Ashley and Bernie, which is, I felt bad for the girls because now they were just on their own. And actually, the Clever Girls, when they first did this, they guessed 240. Which, okay, if you think about it, the girls are going to be a lot smaller.
Exactly.
So because by the time they held out the magazine, it kind of the paper, it got smaller and smaller. Right. And that was what they were measuring it by.
So this is like an average size adult.
Right.
And for these skinny little girls, like, maybe it doesn't make that much difference per bench, but like, so say it was like 5 regular adults on one bench. That's like 5.5, 6 for them. By the time you get all the way down, your numbers are going to be like 40 over.
Exactly.
And I was, even after the first time, I was like, with the models too, I'm like, why aren't you guys realizing that you have these tiny little butts and you need to like spread it out a little bit more, because they were holding the papers in and they were like right on top of each other, and I was just like shaking my head the whole time.
Yeah, and they even said that, you know, I think it was Erin, she said, I think we're getting a little close.
Yeah.
Well, no kidding, because if you look around, not everyone's your size.
Right.
So.
And then they were like making people get up and sitting on people's laps, and I'm like, just stand up and move. Like, it was just like too overdone. I don't know if that was in the rules that you literally had to get your butt in every single spot. Maybe it was, but I don't know. I was like,
little extra drama right there.
Right.
Gosh. And then it was funny because Dana, of course, wanted to murder Matt. So I was kind of glad that they got the answer, because she was on her last nerve once again.
Right.
And it was so smart. Like you said, some people bring extra stuff in their bags.
Right.
Ashley and Bernie brought a clicker. So they didn't have to.
Who would think to do that? I would have lost count 100 times.
Oh, for sure. I think that would have been my hardest thing, is just keeping track of the number you were on.
Yeah.
And they just kept clicking the button, which was so smart. So that was cool.
I just got a tweet. The stream isn't working. I can see the live chat, but they're all telling us that the stream isn't working. So I don't know if you guys can hear us or what's going on. I'm trying to respond to you.
Uh-oh.
But hopefully we're getting that fixed. We know. Okay.
We're working on it.
You'll see us eventually.
The other thing, okay, so I don't know if all you guys watch the campaign that's going on right now, but when Ashley told Bernie that he had a booger.
Wait, what? I missed that.
He was like, you have a booger. I think it was Ashley who told Bernie. And it just reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have seen Ted Cruz. He had a booger during one of his campaigns last week, and he was like hanging, and he ended up eating it.
Ew.
No, literally, I've
like
actually,
he ate it by accident or
by
on
accident.
purpose?
He was like talking, and like this huge booger was hanging from his nose, and it went into his mouth. And as he's talking,
oh my god!
I will actually put the link in the comment section under this video
please.
if you guys want to see it. It is so nasty, but so hilarious. Anyways. So Ashley's comment to Bernie, at least Ashley told Bernie that he had a booger before he ended up eating it like Ted Cruz.
So disgusting.
Yeah, it was
I'm glad I missed that.
really, really nasty. Anyways, a little tangent there.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay, so we are having a little technical difficulties, but we will carry on and you guys will see us soon enough. So hang tight.
Yeah.
In the chat room. James, whenever you're out,
I know,
you're
it's because James is gone. Everything falls apart.
know.
James, we need you wherever you are.
James, come back. We need the three of us together.
And
Then we had the models, and they were just
struggling
a little.
Struggling.
Anyways, on the flip side, Workbench, this was just boring even to watch. I was like, how do we associate with this? Like, they're just literally heads down doing these work things.
Yeah, I mean, it was because it's the Swiss Army knife
Yeah.
and whatnot. Like, I get it, okay, fine, but boring.
I always wonder, like, how do they come up with these detours? They're so random.
I don't, most of the time they have something to do with obviously like the culture of where you are so that it can show us a little bit of, the
Yeah.
country you're in and whatnot. Some of them are more like product placement from a sponsor or something
Right.
like that. But like, this was just, I get it. Like I said, Swiss Army, we're in Switzerland, but it can't be this boring. Like,
Like, what happened to the jumping out of airplanes and the cheese, wheels? Like,
right, like eating stuff, running
Yeah.
around, like, no, here, build a knife and we'll all watch. Like, luckily this was done when there's a lot of teams left and we didn't have to watch them do this for
Right.
too long.
Yeah, that's good.
But I think it was Zach and what's his wife's name? Rachel. They, in the very beginning of building it, they didn't know where something went, and he was like, all right, let's just skip that for now. And I was thinking to myself, no, you can't. It's like when you build something and you leave a couple screws out and then like the whole thing falls apart later.
That's like how I build.
If it's in the instructions, you need to do it. So they did the whole thing and they go and hand it in and the guy's like, you're missing a part.
Oh, right, that one we skipped over.
Right, like, no, you can't just skip things.
Oh, gosh. So Tyler and Corey did this. They actually did pretty well. They kind of just ran through it. Zach and Rachel, we already talked about them.
Right.
And then Blair and Scott, and I loved Blair. So Blair, when they were picking their detour, she goes, Dad, can you sit up and stand really fast? And he goes,
He was like, no.
Like, don't ever change.
Yeah, no, they looked at he was good at this. She was like, he's gonna do this. I'm just gonna kind of like,
Yeah.
she referenced, him being a surgeon and that she was kind of like his nurse, helping out, handing him what he needed, and otherwise staying out of the way, which is a really good strategy. When you have a teammate that is really good at something, detours are meant for you to work together when you can, but you also have to know your strengths and weaknesses and know when to just get out of the way.
Right.
And she did that. So that worked out well for them.
So like you said, if there was a guy on the team, that would be maybe a better detour.
Right.
So they were good. All right. So then after that, they all got to the roadblock, which was having a banner day. One team member must look at a layout of 193 member states that have their flags represented at the United Nations. Identify the flags of the 10 highlighted countries, find those flags in the booklet of flags, tear them out, and deliver all 10 correct flags to an official. I would have been very bad at this. I mean, at least I know Switzerland is a country, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, flags, no way.
This would have been awful. Two things though. One, if you know your flags and your countries, you didn't even have to do this.
Yeah.
All you had to do is rip them out of the book and you're done. So, and I think some of them did know, a couple of them. And this is where I was screaming at my TV. They're looking at this big board and they're like, I don't understand. Is there a map somewhere? How do we know? And I'm like, oh my God, they're in the same line that they are on the board. So, once you figure that out, all you had to do was just count, okay, so this one is 5 in, let me go down that 5. whatever.
Yeah.
So some of the teams kind of like were a little bit flustered to begin with and running all over the place and not getting that the method was kind of pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need to know anything. You just had to know how to count.
Right.
So-
Well, and because if you think about it, the poles were in 4 lines. And the map was 4 lines.
Right.
So you could have figured it out. I mean, I'm sure you would have known at least one of the flags in the line.
Right.
So you could have, and I think it was actually Corey who was the first to figure out that, oh, this map is how the flags are actually positioned. So he was the one that started running up and down. But once again, this is where everyone teamed up. Like, basically all the girls teamed up, and then Corey and Matt teamed up, Cole and Bernie teamed up, and it was just like, all right, let's hold our hands together.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, this is kind of smart because the models were so far behind that they knew, okay, if we can work with a team and get this done extra quick, we're essentially eliminating them. You know,
Right.
no one's got to help them. And it's a smart move, but for us, it's also, like you said, we don't want to watch that. Like, we're sick
Yeah.
of watching teams help each other and hold hands. Like, do the damn roadblock on your own. Like, it's a roadblock.
Yeah.
So, but I understood, you know, why they did it. And, you know, when the models got there, she was like, I don't understand. Why isn't anyone helping me? Why isn't anyone well, how do you not understand?
Right,
Like,
you're
good-
last.
You're last. They want to make sure you're last.
Yeah.
But that was frustrating for me to watch because she basically gave up. She
I
was
know.
walking through, kind of just complaining, going really slow, and you never know what's going to happen next. You're not like skipping to the mat after this. There were trains and changing trains, and
Yeah.
there was time. You know, if she had not complained so much and like really went
Who
to
knows?
work, who knows?
Yeah. And that's the thing about the Amazing Race is even though you think you're last at a detour, you can't give up because you don't know either where the other teams are or what's ahead.
Yeah.
So I know, I felt like she was so focused on how, she was more focused on how no one was helping her
Yeah.
rather than just getting it done.
Yeah, no, she just straight up gave up. Like, they were over the race at that point. They were like 100% sure they were going home, and you just can't give up. You never know. Like, even the teams working together, they could have been wrong. And there was plenty of times on our season where the same thing happened. Like,
Yeah.
it happened to me. I got to a roadblock where I was, you know, we had made an alliance with other teams where we said we were going to work together, and I show up way last and everyone's ignoring me. And I was like, oh my God, we're going home. Like, no one's helping me. We're going home. But I stopped, I did it, and we ended up fine. Like, you know, shit happens.
Yeah,
You don't
shit
know.
happens.
You never know. So that was frustrating to watch.
And I loved how Cole, he said he knew some of the flags from playing FIFA.
That was so cute. So cute.
He is really cute. He's a little charmer. And then, so it was Corey did it, Matt, Cole, Bernie, Rachel, Blair, Jocelyn, and Jessica. And the last 3 girls, Rachel, Blair, and Jocelyn, they completely worked together.
Yeah.
And then poor Jessica, she was definitely back of the pack. But she got through it, and she was more focused on,
We didn't even really see her finish.
no.
Like, I don't even know if she did finish. Like, I don't even know what happened. Like, she was just walking around, like, flipping through the cards. And then all of a sudden, they were, like, running to the train.
Yeah.
So I was like, what happened there? How long, like, what was that period of time?
Yeah. Well, and then they had to take 3 trains?
Yeah.
They had to take 3 trains to get to the pit stop, and that's once again everyone, another equalizer besides the models. Everyone was together on the 3 trains. Then the second train ended up, you know, meeting up the last one.
There was a layover. And that's when they hid. They saw the models
Yeah.
coming up, and they were like, oh my God, let's hide. And there's, you know, it always works out. Like, I can't even believe it works out like this, that for TV, for us, that there's like 1 minute until they can get on, and it's going to leave. And they're like, go, go, go. And the models are just like walking, oh, we have to go over there. We have to whatever. And I'm like, guys, just jog a little. Like, they missed that train by 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like they missed it by 20 seconds. We don't know for sure.
But I wonder how long it actually was.
Right, like that could be editing to make us angry like I am right now. So I don't know, but it's frustrating.
I wonder, like, it just kills me that they're in this race. They know they're last. Why don't they at least just run to get onto that next train? Like, did they know the train was leaving in, 20 seconds?
I don't know.
Because you know how normally, normally at trains it'll say, like, departing in a countdown or whatever.
Right, exactly. So they had to know. They were like, it's right there. Oh, we're going to miss it. I hope we get there. We're going to miss it. And then, they just walked and missed it.
I was literally, that was another part, I was yelling at my screen, like, go, you can make it.
Yeah. I got like a tweet from one of the viewers that says Jocelyn said that they had to get their currency exchanged before they got to the train. So okay, so even when they got there, they had to go exchange currency first, I guess. Which we didn't see the models do. Maybe they had to do that, and that's why they were even more behind. And that public transportation was confusing, and that it was Sunday, so there was less trains running. So basically, I guess those were the only options for the trains, and that's why they kind of all ended up together on the same ones. Yeah.
Oh. I want to know how far apart they really were. Like, how long were they before the train took off and after they saw the models?
We need to know. Does anyone know? Tell us,
Let
please.
us know.
Important.
And then once they finally get there off the train, this is when it was literally a foot race. I've never seen anything like this before. 8 out of the 9 teams were on the mat together.
So it was really a race for first. But then after that, I was like, why is everyone even running?
Yeah.
Like, the models aren't with you. So, like, what are you racing for 5th, 6th? Like, what's the point? They were, like, slipping, running all over the place. Like, you didn't get first. Chill.
They just didn't want to be they didn't want to be 8th, you know?
But
anyway, so Tyler and Brody got first place. That's their second episode.
One, I think.
Yeah. They got $3,000. Second place was Tyler and Corey. Third place, Matt and Dana. Fourth place, Ashley and Bernie. 5th, Rachel, Zach. 6th, Jocelyn, Aaron. 7th, Cole and Sherry. 8th, Blair, Scott. And sadly, last, the models, Jessica and Brittany.
so sad.
So sad. I really liked them.
I mean, I just picked them for my first team on Fantasy Draft. Of course this happens to me. And I just tweeted them too. I was like, Team Pretty, don't disappoint me. I jinxed it.
You did. What? You always have the first team to go.
Whoever I pick, they go. And do you realize that if we had done the draft like a week before this, I would have picked the brothers?
Yeah,
like,
and they would have been gone.
Oh my God. Whoever I pick is going home.
Oh man. So I think James actually texted us the points. So James is of course in first place with the fantasy draft.
And who makes these points up? James?
James, and he's always winning.
We don't even know how it works. We just like trust him. He's like, James has 17 points. You guys have 7 and 3.
Someone out there has to check James' points. I don't know how he calculates them, but we need to figure it out. Yeah. Make sure he's not lying. And then I think I have second, and sadly you have third.
Yeah, I have
your
like
team
no
went
points.
Bye-bye.
But
I'm sad. They had a good. I mean, they got emotional at the end. They said that they had fun. They wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. So. They had a good leg.
They weren't that even upset. I feel like they were over it. They were over it before it was even over.
They were.
But what I do have to say is I think last time I was complaining how I thought Blair was so annoying. I like her now. She toned down the annoyingness. Yay! And she's just really cute. Like, I like her.
I really like her. I think that she has such a good heart, and the fact that she's racing with her dad, I don't know, that just like hits home for me. But I don't know, I think that, and I'm kind of excited to see where this whole bloaty thing goes.
It's gonna go nowhere.
It probably won't, but I'd like to actually see the other contestants play it up.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you think predictions for next? I didn't even watch the teaser.
I saw, where does it say where they're going? Do we have that information? Because I recorded it and it got cut off, so I don't know where they're up next.
So if you guys know where they're going next.
Not that you guys can hear us because we're not streaming. Okay, we have no idea what's going on next week because we both had our recordings cut off.
So this will be true predictions.
Yeah, true predictions. All right. Next week, going home.
Oh, it's a tough one.
I want to say Blair and her dad.
No.
Yeah, they're just been in the back of the pack like the whole time. So unless something really changes or mixes up,
maybe Brody helps them out,
or maybe it's a non-elimination and they're last and they get to stay again.
Yeah, they were the first. They stayed first.
Yeah,
like,
bunny status, double
bunny status.
They're definitely the bunnies of this race.
Whenever I hear, definitely, like Blair brought hairdressers, this and that. The bunnies brought all their tea.
Right. I'll never forget that when they got stopped in the airport because they thought that they were like smuggling drugs and it was just all the tea in their bag.
That was so funny.
They were the cutest.
They were. They actually reminded me a little bit of the models.
Yeah, a little bit, totally.
Yeah.
Like we would get off trains and we'd be running and we would pass like their compartment in the train and there's like curling irons everywhere and they're just totally relaxed, like not running, but they somehow just kept going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that'll be the case for Blair, but I just feel like like unless something, you know, changes or someone else has like a really big mess up, they're just been in the back the whole time. But I don't know, because now that she's like dating Brody,
Yeah, maybe
we
that'll
have
help.
to see that develop a little bit. They wouldn't have showed us that if she was going home.
That's true, actually. So it might be a non-elimination, or I think that Brody's going to maybe help them stay in.
Totally.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, he gives out answers pretty easy, so
Yeah.
who knows?
So who's gonna be first next week?
Do you think it'll still be Kurt and Brody? I don't think so. I think that Kurt and Brody are going to help out Blair and Scott, and it's going to hold them
and it's
back.
gonna hold them back. They're gonna be like 4 and 5 maybe.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Tyler and Corey,
Yeah, I was gonna say Tyler and Corey.
or maybe I would like to see Matt. I'm going to say Matt and Dana.
maybe, I don't really like that. I like Dana.
I just like Dana because she's so feisty. It's like her
Right.
way or the highway.
Right, and he should just listen to her. She should just do
Yeah.
whatever she
Yeah.
wants, and he should just do as he's told.
Yeah.
It works.
It works. So I'm going to say Matt and Dana. You're saying
Maybe Tyler and Corey.
okay, and
Hopefully.
then I don't know. I guess I'm going to say a non-elimination.
Yeah.
I guess.
What are we on? It'll be 5 next
5.
week. Yeah, we're due.
Yeah.
It could happen.
So I'm going to say that. All right, let us know what you guys predict in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching. Next week, I think, are we all here?
I think we're all here next
We're all
week.
here next week. Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and have a great... Was that everything?
I think we got everything. Yeah, we're good, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.